The next thing I want to talk about is choosing your focal point for your fairy garden. This is really important. This is going to determine the story that you're going to tell, okay? So the focal point of your fairy garden is going to be the largest item in your garden. It can be a house. We have a nice selection of like handmade tufa houses here. Each one of these is unique and handcrafted. We have little resin houses. This one's a little fairy shed. Most of them have little doors that open. This one's a little teapot. This would make a really cute little fantasy type theme. I have a little schoolhouse. We have literally hundreds of options for you. Your focal point can even be something as simple as an arbor or an archway, just so that it's the largest item in your garden. See, I could create a whole miniature landscape around something like this, or if it was in this size of pot, I might choose something this size. Just be sure that your scale is appropriate to your pot. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about soil. Your soil is a very important component of your fairy garden. You never want to use soil right out of your garden. It contains a lot of bacteria and weed seeds and things that you just wouldn't want to have in your fairy garden or your miniature garden. I use a general all-purpose potting mix. It's very lightweight. You know you have a good soil if you can squeeze it and tap it and it's just going to fall apart. You don't want anything that's too heavy. So this is going to allow your roots to go into your nice soil and to get a good start on growing healthy. I also mix in a slow release fertilizer. This feeds for about 3 months. You don't want to over fertilize because you don't want your plants to become gigantic. You want to keep them nice and small. So I kind of just work that in. You're going to want to fill your container to about 1 inch from the top, patting down but not compacting your soil. Okay, so that's good. Now this one I'm not going to have out in the rain, so I did not put drainage holes in this one. Okay, let's talk a little bit about plants. We have a large selections of plants here at Country Gatherings. That's something that you might not find at other places that carry fairy garden items. For one-stop shopping, we have everything that you need, and our plants are organized according to sun or to shade. So when you've chosen the location for your fairy garden, you're going to want to choose plants that are appropriate to that location. It's the number one thing that people make mistakes with is they mix sun plants with shade plants, and then they're like, my one plant died, or my other plant took over the garden, and so my one plant isn't thriving. It's probably because that you have not chosen appropriate plants for that. We have a lot of different plant varieties here. I'll just talk about a few rules. When choosing your plants, look for healthy plants that aren't too terribly root bound. This one's in really good shape. I have a rule of 3 to 5 plants for the average size fairy garden. And a good rule of thumb is choose plants that, if I put my focal point in here, just like in your miniature or in your real landscape, your miniature landscape needs something that gives you a little bit of height, okay? So I would choose something for height. I like to choose something that trails over the front, that's going to soften the edge of your garden. And then it's also a good idea to have something that mounds. So when this is planted, it's going to just make a nice little mound and kind of look like shrubbery. All these plants that I have chosen are for shade. This garden will be on a covered porch, so it'll be, all these plants will be happy and compatible together. If your root ball is really bound, you may need to tease your roots out a little bit, and that way your roots won't keep going around and around in the pot. The way they were growing in the pot, they'll reach out and reach down into the new soil. Okay? you.